Heart surgeon exposes the one mistake that could end your life. What if your heart wasn't failing because of age, but because of tiny, silent habits you repeat every day without even realizing it? That morning cup of coffee, that skip stretch, that snack just before bed, they feel harmless. But over time, they become quiet thieves stealing your energy, your sleep, your breath. And one day, without warning, your heart whispers, "I can't keep up." I've seen it too many times. Strong, wise, loving people blindsided by heart attacks that didn't roar, they crept in. But here's the truth: you have more control than you've been told. And in this video, we'll uncover 7 everyday habits that may be quietly breaking your heart and simple, science-backed ways to take your power back. So if you want to keep living fully, walking farther, laughing longer, hit that like button and subscribe now. You deserve a heart that beats strong, not just for you, but for the ones you love. Let's begin. Habit 1: waking up in rush mode. You open your eye, before you even take a breath, your brain is racing. Did I leave the oven on? What day is it? Where's my phone? This kind of chaotic wake-up isn't just stressful, it's dangerous for your heart. According to the American Heart Association, cortisol, your stress hormone, naturally peaks within 30-45 minutes after waking, but when you bolt out of bed, check your phone, skip hydration, and jump into activity, that spike turns into a flood, and your heart is the first to suffer. Let me tell you about John, a retired mail carrier in his 60s. He prided himself on being productive. "I don't need slow mornings," he'd say. But last year, after rushing out the door without breakfast, he collapsed on his driveway. The diagnosis: a hypertensive crisis. His doctor said the strain had been building for years, and mornings were the silent trigger. Here's why rushing is so harmful, especially for older adults. Your blood vessels are more constricted when you first wake up. Sudden movement raises blood pressure abruptly. Your heart hasn't had time to stabilize its rhythm. Quick exertion throws it off balance. You likely haven't hydrated yet, meaning your blood is thicker and harder to pump. Skipping stretches reduces circulation, keeping your arteries stiff. The fix isn't complicated, but it does require intention. Start your morning with stillness. Sit up slowly. Place your feet flat on the ground. Take 3 deep breaths. This signals your nervous system that it's safe and lowers your heart rate naturally. Drink a glass of water before coffee. It thins the blood and supports circulation. Do 2 to 3 minutes of light movement, arm circles, ankle rolls, or even walking to the kitchen. You don't need a perfect routine. You need a compassionate one. Mornings are not a test. They're an invitation to set your pace, to greet your body, and to give your heart a gentle beginning. And when your day begins with peace, your heart responds with strength. Next, let's talk about what you put into your body first thing in the morning and how the way you drink your coffee may be silently raising your blood pressure each day. Habit 2: drinking coffee before eating. You've stretched, hydrated, and taken a peaceful breath, but then you reach for that familiar comfort, your morning coffee. There's no denying the ritual, the warmth, the smell. For many older adults, coffee feels like a lifeline, especially after a restless night. But what if this comforting habit is silently burdening your heart? The science is clear. When you drink coffee on an empty stomach, especially within the first hour of waking, you amplify your body's natural cortisol response. According to a 2016 study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism, caffeine increases cortisol levels significantly more when consumed without food. For seniors whose hormonal systems are more sensitive, this can have lasting effects on the cardiovascular system. Here's what happens when you drink coffee before breakfast. The caffeine enters your bloodstream rapidly. With nothing to slow its absorption, cortisol and adrenaline surge, increasing heart rate and narrowing blood vessels. Your blood sugar may drop after the spike, leading to fatigue or heart palpitations. Over time, this repeated stress may contribute to high blood pressure, arrhythmia, or vascular inflammation. Let me tell you about Linda, a 67-year-old retired teacher. She loved her black coffee 2 cups right after waking up, but she began noticing shortness of breath and sudden anxiety mid-morning. Her doctor found nothing structurally wrong with her heart. What they discovered was a pattern. Her morning caffeine spikes were mimicking panic attacks and disrupting her heart rhythm. So what's the fix? Pair your coffee with a protein-rich snack, a boiled egg, a spoon of almond butter, or a slice of whole grain toast. Avoid drinking coffee within the first 30 minutes of waking. Let your cortisol peak naturally. If you're plant-based, opt for chia pudding, avocado toast, or a banana with peanut butter. Choose lower acidity coffee or cold brew if your stomach is sensitive. This isn't about giving up what you love. It's about protecting your heart while keeping your routines. You still get the comfort, but without the chaos inside your bloodstream. And there's a deeper truth here. How we fuel our morning shapes how our hearts handle the rest of the day. Now that we've looked at what you put in your body first thing in the morning, let's talk about what happens when you forget to give it something even more basic: water. In the next section, we'll explore the hidden dangers of dehydration and how your heart quietly struggles when your glass stays empty. Habit 3, forgetting to hydrate throughout the day. Now that we've addressed what enters your body in the morning coffee, cortisol, and the impact of timing, let's shift to something even more essential and often overlooked: water. Hydration isn't just about quenching thirst. It's about giving your heart the environment it needs to function smoothly. Your heart is made up of roughly 73% water. When you're even slightly dehydrated, just 1 to 2% below your optimal level, your blood volume decreases. That means your heart must work harder to push thicker, more resistant blood through your arteries. A study published in the European Journal of Nutrition in 2020 found that mild dehydration increased heart rate by an average of 3 to 5 beats per minute and raised systolic blood pressure by 6 to 10 mmHg in older adults. This may sound small, but over years, it compounds into chronic strain. Here's what happens when your body lacks water. Blood becomes thicker, increasing resistance and pressure inside arteries. Circulation slows down, making oxygen delivery less efficient. The body overheats more easily, putting thermal stress on the heart. Kidneys retain sodium, elevating blood pressure even more. Risk of blood clots and stroke increases due to sluggish flow. I once worked with a Vietnam War veteran named Roger, 74 years old, who would sip just 1 glass of water a day. He wasn't thirsty. After a mini stroke, doctors discovered his blood had become dangerously viscous, contributing to restricted blood flow. Hydration became his daily mission from that day forward. The fix is surprisingly simple, yet rarely followed consistently. Carry a reusable water bottle and refill it 3 times a day. Set hourly reminders or use a habit tracking app. If plain water feels boring, add citrus slices, mint, or cucumber. Consume water-rich foods like watermelon, celery, and soups for those sweating more or on diuretics. Consider adding electrolyte drops or tablets to 1 bottle. Daily hydration isn't about perfection, it's about steady intention. Every sip is a quiet act of support for your heart, easing its workload and reducing the risk of inflammation and fatigue. But here's the tricky part: while staying hydrated helps keep your heart rhythm stable during the day, what you eat late at night may undo that progress. In the next section, we'll talk about how nighttime snacking affects heart recovery and why the hours before sleep matter just as much as your mornings. Habit 4, eating late at night. In the last section, we saw how dehydration silently taxes your heart throughout the day. But what happens at night when your body should be resting, yet your digestive system is still working overtime? Late night snacking is one of the most underestimated threats to heart health, especially in older adults. While a light evening meal is fine, eating heavy, sugary, or salty foods within 2 hours of bedtime can disrupt your body's most important repair phase. A study from the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine found that people who consume food within 90 minutes of bedtime experience significantly higher nighttime blood pressure and more fragmented sleep. Worse still, their heart rate remained elevated throughout the night, depriving the cardiovascular system of its essential cool-down window. Here's what happens when you eat late and go to bed too soon after. Blood is redirected to your stomach and intestines for digestion, reducing circulation to the heart and brain. Sleep becomes lighter and more interrupted, affecting heart rate variability. Insulin resistance increases, promoting fat storage and inflammation. Cortisol levels spike the following morning, placing more stress on your cardiovascular system. Your heart loses the chance to enter its natural nighttime recovery state. I remember working with a widowed man named Charles, who used food as emotional comfort. After dinner, he often snacked on cookies and chips while watching TV until midnight. His sleep was shallow, and he felt exhausted every morning. Once he stopped eating after 8 p.m., not only did his energy improve, but his blood pressure dropped 12 points over 3 months. The good news: you don't have to starve yourself, you just need a better strategy. Set a kitchen curfew 2 hours before bedtime and make it non-negotiable. If you must snack, choose something light and heart-friendly, a few berries, a slice of apple, or chamomile tea. Build a calming wind-down routine. Dim lights, turn off screens, stretch gently, or journal. Eat your largest meal earlier in the evening when your digestion is strongest. Sleep is your heart's repair shift. If you overload your body with food at the wrong time, your heart doesn't get to rest, and over months, this can lead to increased risk of hypertension, poor glucose control, and even cardiac fatigue. But here's an overlooked truth: the way you sleep matters just as much as whether you sleep. In the next section, we'll explore how poor sleep quality, even if you get enough hours, can quietly weaken your heart every night, and what you can do to reverse it. Habit 5. Neglecting sleep quality. We've talked about the dangers of late-night snacking, but what happens even if you stop eating early and still lie awake at night, tossing and turning? Sleep isn't just about hours, it's about healing. Poor sleep quality doesn't just make you tired, it weakens your heart, day by day, night by night. According to the American College of Cardiology, people who sleep less than 6 hours a night have up to double the risk of heart attack compared to those who sleep 7 to 8 hours. But even when total sleep time is sufficient, disrupted sleep patterns, waking frequently, shallow cycles, or inconsistent schedules lead to elevated inflammation, higher resting heart rate, and increased arterial stiffness. Here's what poor sleep does to your heart, especially over the age of 60. Prevents your heart from entering its natural recovery mode, where blood pressure and heart rate drop, increases cortisol and adrenaline production overnight, mimicking stress, limits production of melatonin, which also has protective cardiovascular effects, reduces insulin sensitivity, contributing to metabolic strain, raises the risk of atrial fibrillation, a common irregular heart rhythm in older adults. I once worked with a retired nurse named Margaret who couldn't fall asleep without her phone. She'd scroll social media until midnight and wake up groggy, irritable, with palpitations. When she tried a digital sunset, turning off all screens 1 hour before bed, her heart rate stabilized within 2 weeks, and her sleep became more restful. The path to better sleep doesn't require perfection, just protection. Set a consistent sleep and wake time, even on weekends. Eliminate screen use 1 hour before bedtime, especially phones and tablets. Create a dark, cool, and quiet sleep environment. Consider blackout curtains and a white noise machine. Try natural supports like magnesium glycinate or calming teas. Avoid caffeine after 2 p.m. and finish dinner at least 3 hours before bedtime. Sleep is not a luxury. It's your body's nightly reset for your immune system, your hormones, and most importantly, your cardiovascular function. But here's something few people talk about. Even great sleep can't fully protect your heart if your days are spent sitting still. In the next section, we'll dive into how extended sitting silently damages your blood vessels and what small movements you can do to reverse the risk right from your chair. Habit 6. Sitting for hours without movement. Even with a good night's sleep, your heart's health can be undone by one thing that most of us do far too often: sitting. Whether it's during long TV sessions, daily commutes, or scrolling through our phones, prolonged sitting is a silent threat to your cardiovascular system. The CDC reports that adults who sit more than 8 hours a day with no physical activity have a risk of death similar to that caused by obesity and smoking. That's not just alarming, it's transformational, because it means your daily posture and movement patterns matter just as much as your diet and exercise routines. When you sit for long periods without moving, this is what happens inside your body. Blood flow slows down, especially in the legs, increasing the risk of clot formation. Calf muscles, which act as natural blood pumps, weaken from inactivity. Enzyme activity that helps break down fats drops sharply. Raising LDL cholesterol, insulin sensitivity decreases, putting more pressure on the heart. Inflammation levels rise, contributing to arterial stiffness. One patient I worked with, Diane, was a 71-year-old grandmother who spent most of her day on the couch watching daytime TV. She didn't realize her legs were often swollen by the afternoon. After experiencing shortness of breath, a cardiologist diagnosed her with early signs of deep vein thrombosis, caused in part by prolonged immobility. The solution doesn't involve a gym membership or fancy equipment. It's all about building micro movements into your day. Stand up every 30-60 minutes, even for just 1 minute. March in place while brushing your teeth or waiting for the microwave. Do ankle rolls, shoulder circles, and neck stretches while seated. Consider a standing desk or place a small box under your feet to elevate and shift posture. If mobility is limited, perform seated leg lifts or gentle resistance band exercises. Small, frequent movements help reset your circulation and ease the burden on your heart. Over time, they can lower resting heart rate, reduce blood pressure, and improve energy. Still, it's not just physical stillness that affects your heart. Emotional stagnation can be just as dangerous. In our next section, we'll look at the often overlooked role of unmanaged stress and how chronic tension can sabotage your heart health, even when everything else seems in order. Habit 7, letting chronic stress go unchecked. We've talked about physical stillness, but now let's address something even more invisible: emotional pressure. Chronic stress is the heart's quietest, yet most persistent enemy, and it's one many older adults carry without even realizing it. Unlike acute stress, a sudden event like missing a flight or slipping on a wet floor, chronic stress simmers in the background. It's financial worry, caregiving fatigue, loneliness, regret. These emotions may not feel dramatic, but over time, they saturate your nervous system and exhaust your heart. The American Psychological Association reports that chronic stress contributes significantly to hypertension, increased inflammation, and abnormal heart rhythms. Worse, most people don't link these emotional patterns to physical symptoms until the damage is already done. Here's how ongoing stress affects your cardiovascular health. Keeps your body in a low-grade fight-or-flight state, raising cortisol and adrenaline, constricts blood vessels and raises heart rate. Even at rest, increases platelet activity, making blood more likely to clot, suppresses parasympathetic activity, preventing your body from relaxing, disrupts sleep quality and eating behaviors. Further burdening your heart, I once worked with Mr. Hernandez, a 69-year-old widower who hadn't cried in years. He cared for his adult daughter with disabilities, carried guilt from his past, and often felt like he couldn't exhale fully. After multiple episodes of chest tightness, doctors ruled out heart blockage but found elevated inflammation and stress-related arrhythmia. What helped him wasn't just medication, but finally speaking with a counselor and learning to breathe again. So how can you begin to manage stress, especially when life feels unchangeable? Practice a 5-5-5 breathing pattern. Inhale for 5 seconds. Hold for 5, exhale for 5. Go for short walks in nature, even just around the block. Journal before bed to release lingering thoughts. Listen to calming music or guided meditations. Speak with someone, a friend, counselor, or support group to lighten the emotional load. Stress relief isn't about escaping reality. It's about giving your heart small pockets of peace amid it all. Just 5 minutes a day can change your biochemistry. And here's what matters most. Your heart listens not only to what you eat or how you move, but to what you carry silently inside. In the next and final section, we'll bring everything together. We'll reflect on what your heart has been asking for and how small, daily shifts can become your most powerful medicine. Your heart has been whispering to you all along, through skipped beats, through morning fatigue, through moments of unease you brushed aside. Now, you finally know why. It's not just age. It's not just fate. It's the choices we repeat without thinking and the ones we haven't dared to change. But here's the power you hold. None of these 7 habits are permanent. They're patterns, and patterns can shift. With a little awareness, with a little kindness toward yourself, you can turn silent damage into quiet healing. Stretch before you rise. Eat before you sip. Drink water like your life depends on it, because it does. Honor sleep. Move your body even when no one's watching. Speak your feelings. Give your heart the calm it's been craving. These aren't just tips. They are acts of love for the only heart you'll ever have. So if any part of this message resonated with you, leave a comment. Share which habit you're ready to change. And if you want more real, compassionate health wisdom made just for you, subscribe and turn on the bell. We're building a space where older hearts feel seen, heard, and cared for. You're not alone, and your best years may still be ahead.